Hello, babe. Welcome back. So, I wanted to do a sort of little session since we're coming up on fall. Yay. And we have a new, or not a new moon, just kidding, a full moon coming up. So, we're looking at fall and the harvest moon, and those are coming up in the next couple of days. Depending on when you're watching this, I'm filming this on Friday the 21st. So, um, so really, I don't know about you, but I'm fucking excited as shit that summer is over. No, thank you. Fall is my faves. So, I just kind of wanted to pull some cards and talk about moving into this new season and bringing into our lives the things we really want to, instead of year after year calling in the same thing. And so when I was doing this meditation before I turned the camera on, like, there were some really interesting messages that came through. So I'm going to kind of do a little chit chat, and then I'm going to show you the cards that we pulled, and they are fucking amazing. So really right now, the energy is you're being asked to take stock of what your harvest is. So you planted all of these seeds, and now they've grown and they've bloomed, and you have all these crops, right? So what were they? What were the seeds you planted? And now that you're harvesting them, how do you feel about it? Right? How do you feel about the seeds that you planted, and what came into fruition and what didn't? What didn't thrive that maybe you wanted to when you initially planted those seeds, and what did thrive that maybe you didn't intentionally plant those seeds. You thought it was going to be something else. So really ask yourself, what did I call into my life? How do I feel about all of these things that I've kind of brought in? How do I feel about this harvest? How do I feel about these crops? And then decide, do I want to plant these seeds again? What do I want to keep and what do I want to get rid of? That's a really important thing to be asking ourselves right now, is like, because the thing is, you don't have to keep planting the same seeds over and over and over and over again. I mean, you can if you want to, of course, but if you don't, realize, like, hey, I don't fucking have to do that. So what instead do I want to see in its place? What instead do I want to plant instead of this shit? Or what do I want to keep? And what do I want to get rid of? And ask yourself, am I ready for something new? Or do I want to keep planning this? Do I want these? And really, like I said, take stock of what you have in order to prepare for planning the new stuff. So notice what really made you happy. Notice the things that you were like, maybe they flourished out of nowhere. Maybe you called something in that you didn't even know was coming, right? Do you want to keep planting that? Do you want to keep nurturing that? Or maybe do you want to plant something else? Do you want to get rid of some of the stuff that you thought was going to work out that really maybe didn't turn out quite exactly as you thought it was going to? So look out over things and take an inventory of that, and then really be honest with yourself and get rid of all the things that you don't actually need. Get rid of the things that don't feel good to you anymore. Get rid of the things that aren't bringing you any kind of joy. Because what's the sense of planting them over and over and over again if you don't fucking want it, you know? So we are obviously going to get into a little bit of shadow work at the very end of this, and I really was not very surprised at the cards that came up, and I used the Marigold Tarot, which is fucking amazing. And I pulled 4 cards for us, and surprise, surprise, but not really, they're all fucking major arcana cards. So our first card is the Star. So going back to what I said about planting seeds that maybe you wanted to work out a certain way, and maybe they worked out a different way, don't lose hope. Don't let go of this idea, especially if it's one that's really a desire of your heart. If it's something that you keep coming back to over and over and over again, don't lose faith in it. It's really much like gardening. You need to plant seeds at the right time, at the right temperature, in the right soil. Like, there's a whole thing that goes with that. You can't just like throw seeds out and expect them to do well and never water them or never till the soil. Just kind of, if you just throw it out there sort of haphazardly, I mean, you're really just saying, okay, there you go. I don't really want to deal with it. Let the universe figure it out. And that's fine. Let the universe do the heavy lifting. But if you're not holding the vision, if you're not holding the faith, if you're not holding that space for what you want, then how can it come to you? I mean, you're sort of blocking it at that point. If you don't want to have anything to do with it, if you're not ready to commit to it, then how can it come to you? It's not just going to like land in your lap. So remember that it's okay. It's okay to want something. And maybe you've been burned in the past before where, you really wanted this thing or you're really excited about it and then it didn't work and you were disappointed. And know that it's this or something better. And so the star really says what you want is coming. You just have to believe it. So if you don't believe it, it'll never come because you're essentially saying, oh no, you know what? I don't want that. So really get into where can you have that additional belief in what it is that you want. Which brings us to the Fool. So, really, I mean, what better card for a whole new season, a whole new chapter? And the Fool says, really, and I think the Fool paired with the Star especially says, fucking do what you want to do. Take that leap because it's what you want. And it will come to you. What you want will come to fruition. But if you don't believe that it will, then it won't. So the thing is, a lot of times we test the universe. We say, oh, well, you know what? If this happens, then I'll believe. If that happens, then I won't believe. If it goes like this, then I'll have faith. But if it doesn't, then I don't. And, like our subconscious is never going to prove us wrong. It's never going to make us a liar. So no matter what you believe subconsciously, you're always going to get that in the world. Your outer experience is always going to match up to your inner experience. So if you don't believe you can have something, then you're not going to fucking have it. And like I was saying, like, it's not up to us to test the universe and say, like, okay, universe, make me a believer. You either believe or you don't. And if you don't, that's okay. And if you do, even better. But it's completely up to you. And there's no right or wrong here. It's just what you choose. So if you choose to look at it from the perspective of, well, I'm going to let the universe make me a believer, then what you believe already is what's going to continue to happen. Versus if you're saying, you know what, I believe that I can have this, and I'm asking for it, and I'm going to keep believing I can have it, you're going to get it one way or another. It is this or something better. So I always say decide, believe, receive, because when you decide what you want and where you're going, and you believe that you can have it, that you believe that you can get there, you get it, because your outer experience always catches up with your inner experience. That's what our perception is. What we perceive, what we believe in our subconscious is how we see the world. So, that being said, if you don't believe you can have this thing, be that, have money, get the new job, have a new car, have a great relationship, then you're never going to have it because you don't believe that you can. And the universe is never going to go against your free will. So it's up to you to really get into this now that we're coming into a new season. And like I said, go through that shit and say, do I want this limiting belief? Do I want this bullshit? Do I want to keep perpetuating these lies? Not really. What is my story? What beliefs do I want to change? And then we have the Emperor. And the Emperor, I feel like, gets a really bad rap. I feel like the Emperor is made out to be boring. I don't really think that that's necessarily how it has to be. So because the Emperor is about rules and structure, we automatically go to, oh, wah, boring, I don't like that, routine, rules, no thank you. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be a boring routine. It doesn't have to be a boring structure. It can be whatever you want it to be. Because even those people, like, think of the most magical person that you know, right? Like, they have a foundation. They have a structure. Even if it doesn't look like every other structure out there, it's still unique. It's still a structure. So, the Emperor is asking you, go through what you already have. Look at your foundation. Look at your crops. Look at what you have already, the structure that you've built. Do you like it? Because if you don't, you can change it. So that's, the Emperor isn't about forcing you to do what you are supposed to do. The Emperor is about, you get to choose what the foundation is. You get to choose what the structure looks like. You get to choose the routine and the rules. So what the fuck do you want? Don't look at someone else and say, oh, I have to follow that because that person's responsible. I have to do that because it's what I'm supposed to do. I have to do this because it's what I'm expected to do. So really go through, and the Emperor says, look at what your foundation is. Look at what your structure is. Look at what is around you. Look at the routines that you have. What are the rules of your life? And notice what's self-imposed, and notice maybe what you've kind of inherited or adopted from others. Because we have this as a society idea that, we're supposed to graduate high school and go to college and get married and blah, 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 or what the fuck ever. You have to get a degree and get this job. And, there's these archaic societal expectations that are kind of imposed subtly, either by society as a whole or from our parents, right? So the Emperor is saying, like, the rules of your life are the rules of your life, and you get to choose what they are. You don't have to stick to, that person said that I have to do this, so I have to. Like, fucking says who? So really kind of like pull up the dirt on this and really like till that soil and see, like, okay, no, actually I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want this. Instead, this is what I want. And really, if you're going to rip down your entire structure, kind of tower status, then great. You get to build fresh. You have a whole new blueprint. But really, the Emperor is asking you to do that now. Not necessarily to tear down, but to create that blueprint. So really decide, what's my structure? What's my foundation? Where do I want to go? What am I building my life on? Is it mine, or is it someone else's story? Is it what I want, or is it what someone else expects or wants for me? So notice that. And then when you have that blueprint, when you're ready and you're like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I've chosen for myself, then go ahead and build it. You know, you don't necessarily have to not tear the structure down. If you don't want to tear it down right now, you can tear it down later. But just go through and notice what is actually yours versus what are things that were kind of imposed on you, things you were supposed to do or expected to do. So that's really what the Emperor is asking of you right now. And our final card is the Hierophant. Telling you guys, this was like a really fucking amazing spread. So the Hierophant says, right now in this instance, like, you are your guru. No one knows more about what you want or how your life should go than fucking you. So it's great to look to other people in terms of like a mentor or a teacher. If you know, like, I really want to know more about this. I really want to know more about changing my mindset. I really want to know more about whatever. I need to find someone who can teach me. That's one thing. But to kind of, like I said, adopt or inherit things from other people, other people's stories, other people's expectations, really is not doing you any favors. So it's not that your parents know more about you than you do. It's not that your partner knows more about what's good for you than you do, or that your friends make better choices for you. You are the guru of your life. No one knows more about you and what you want than you do. So, that being said, what now? What do you want to do now? What do you know about you? What do you know about where you want your life to go? What do you want it to be? This is about you. So if you're more comfortable, for example, taking other people's feelings into consideration when you start a new journey or when you're doing something, when you're making choices, is that really serving you? Just ask yourself. And this is not about judgment. It's not about saying you're doing anything wrong. It's just about, what am I choosing? And be mindful of what you are choosing. And it might be a subconscious choice, like I said, because of someone else's expectations, or you feeling like guilty, or I have to do this because so-and-so wants me to, asked me to, told me to, whatever. But really, kind of take a step back and look at, like I said before at the beginning of the video, take stock of what you've got in front of you. So, did you plant things based on you? Or did you plant them based on, well, my partner would like that. Well, my parents would like that. Well, so-and-so would like this. I'm supposed to do this. I was expected to do that. So look at that. And the Hierophant says, only you know what you want. Only you can make you happy. So if you are looking to other people to fulfill that, you will always be looking. You will always feel empty. You will always feel that void because you haven't learned to fill it for yourself. You're always going to be looking for someone else to fulfill that for you. When the truth is that you are in charge of how you feel. You're in charge of your happiness. You're in charge of your decisions. You're in charge of your life. So where do you want to go now? What do you want to do now? How do you want to feel now? Right? So getting into sort of the shadow work of all of this, more so than we already have, really, that whole thing was kind of about doing that work. But look at what you say, oh, I wish I had this. I wish I could do that. I wish I was this. So look at all the times that you say, I wish. And look at the dreams, the goals that you feel are impossible, that are illogical, that could never happen to you. I wish I could do blah, but that's never going to happen. You know, all of those things. We say, oh, well, I really want to do this, but yeah, it'll never happen because whatever. And we have a million excuses for why it'll never happen for us. And what I want you to do is write out the feelings that you have around those dreams. Really get down and say, you know what, this is my biggest dream, my biggest goal. This is the biggest intention I have for my life. But I just really don't feel like it's ever going to happen for me. Really write out the feelings you have around that. Write out the experiences that maybe have shaped you to feel like it could never happen for you. Because the truth is, like, it fucking can. Whatever you choose can happen for you. You just have to choose it and then believe it and then walk it out into the world. It will happen. But if you don't believe it, like I said before, then you just walled yourself off. You say, nope, could never happen for me. The universe isn't going to prove you wrong. The universe is going to give you what you're saying you want, subconsciously or consciously. So write out the feelings you have, like, oh, I can't have that because that doesn't make any sense. That's illogical. Like, for example, let's say you want $1 million, but you're like, oh, no, I don't make that kind of money. Oh, no, that could never happen. I'll never win the lottery. It'll never be this. I'll never do that. Blah, blah, blah. Write out your feelings about, like, forget the logical right now. Forget the impossible. Like, fucking nobody cares about that. Like, what I want you to do is just write out, here is the dream I have for myself, or the dreams I have for myself. Here are the goals that I have for myself. This is what I want to see in my life. And don't give logic or impossibility a second thought. Don't do it. Don't do it. We're just going to pretend right now. Okay, this is an exercise in pretending. So really get into that. Like, how do I feel about these things? How come I feel like it's illogical? Like, what are the things that tell me that it's illogical? What are the things that tell me it's impossible? Why do I believe that? What are my limiting beliefs? What is my limiting perspective? So then I want you, once you've done that, to say, like, oh, well, I could never have this because I don't make enough money. What I want you to do is flip the fucking script. Change the story. Because here's the thing. A belief is a story you tell yourself over and over and over and over again. So if that's all a belief is, then why the fuck do we think that we can't change them? Right? Like, there's nothing set in stone that says this is what you believe and this is what you can have and that's it. Like, here's your quota for your life and there is nothing more or less that you're allowed. That's fucking ridiculous. So, really, change that story. Change the story. Because it's your story and you get to tell it however the fuck you want to. Period. So, get to it. Because there's no sense in letting someone else dictate how you live your life. It's not their life, and you will never feel fulfilled abiding by the rules and routine and structure and foundation of someone else that's guiding your life. Like, you're always gonna want something different because it's not what you want. So really get down into what it is that you do want and how you can change that story to, it's not that I can't have it, I can have whatever I choose because this is my life, right? So, I know that a lot of people use the full moon for doing shadow work. I think that's a little bit backwards. I know, like, I've learned it in different classes that, like, the dark moon is for manifesting and the full moon is for getting rid of things. And that's like, that doesn't really make sense to me. If it works for you that way, great. But that's never been the case for me. So, dark moon is typically when I say do shadow work, whereas full moon is what I say that's around the time to do the manifesting, right? And so you are being asked right now to shed that light on what it is that you want to manifest. If you have an idea already, that's amazing. Write it down and then get rid of those fucking limiting beliefs around it. Change the story. Manifest that new story. So, I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you have a wonderful fall and a wonderful full moon. Like I said, depending on when you're watching this, because I filmed it on Fridays the 21st. So I will see you in a couple of days for our week ahead tarot forecast. I love you. Bye.